So I thought I would bring you out on my walk today as I am still learning to navigate the new space without Payton and finding my way back home to my happy space. So excuse any of the background noise. There is a nice breeze and it picks up a little bit, as well as some just background noise going on. That's what happens when you're outside, right? But I just felt like checking in on a couple things. One, you have probably noticed a huge shift coming into today. As you know, we are just about to come out of this very dense Capricorn energy that's had us really slow down and be still and be in a place of reflection to ask ourselves a lot of questions. There's been sort of this dynamic around being still in the movement. And I recently had a conversation with my assistant Brandy the other day that we're actually trying to upload right now for a podcast episode. And I'm not sure if it's going to happen because Mercury sort of wanted to throw one more sucker punch before it went direct today. But that's okay. Everything happens as it's supposed to. And one of the things that we talked about in that conversation was this idea of being still in the dance. And so it's the duality of allowing ourselves space for stillness, for quiet, while still being in motion. And so, for instance, right now, a lot of people struggle, and I know I do too. I am working on, and I'm going to shift this around a little bit. I am working on learning how to give myself space to meditate more, and meditate in all kinds of different ways. And one of those ways is finding stillness within my body, finding stillness within my mind, and giving myself the grace to realize that oftentimes too much stillness stifles me. And so what do I mean by that? I really talk to people, and I know for myself, and this might be the manifesting generator in me, I need movement. I am not good at keeping my entire body still or in a space where there's not movement or very natural flow, and being able to connect into that just way my body wants to be. And so I have found that oftentimes I meditate better when I'm in motion. And so my biggest downloads tend to come sometimes when I'm showering. It very much comes when I allow myself on a trail like I am right now. And this is just one by my house, because for those of you that know, I also recently had a procedure, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment too. So I'm being kind and gentle because I'm really not supposed to be doing a lot of exercise today. And I felt like I needed to move my body, like the healing needs some breath, like it needs some movement. So I am being very gentle. I am taking a very slow pace, and I'm letting myself create stillness in the container of that fluidity, that movement. And I think one of our opportunities, especially coming into 2023, is around this space of that duality of stillness and fluidity, stillness and flow, stillness and the dance that is life, that is what's calling through. It's not the either or, it's and both and all. And so I say that because, one, we're coming out of this really intense energy. In the next couple days, we will be moving from a very dense Capricorn energy that, again, starting the year in that way, it usually sets us up for reflection and space. And yet oftentimes we find ourselves right back in that space of hustling and grinding and wonder why we're getting burnt out. And many of you, I know I've talked to some of you individually. I know I can feel this. There's a lot of people feeling incredibly burnt out already, or feeling like they're just worn out and exhausted, and like they've gotten hit with the ultimate energy sucker punch. And some of that is because we have this conditioning and think we got to hit the go button January 1. And I've talked about this in a couple other episodes around this need to reset immediately after coming out of oftentimes some very traumatic, very healing, very exhausting energy, whether it be the holidays, whether it be grief, whether it be closing out a quarter for your business, for your job. But this space of shaming, this space of the shoulding we do all over ourselves around, I got to get going. I got to wind it up. I got to grind. I got to get in there and dig in and hustle. it's killing us. It legitimately is killing us. And it's putting us in a space where we are overly exhausted and we're burnt out, setting ourselves up for massive failure before we even get started. And so first and foremost, I'm sure you can feel the shift. The energy is starting to feel lighter. First of all, Mercury went direct today, which I don't know about the rest of you, but man, Mercury definitely threw some punches this beginning season. And Mercury with Capricorn, with also Mars being retrograde, which that just went direct the other day. A lot of energy that said slow down. A lot of energy that said you need to spend some time going inside before going out. A lot of what's coming through for 2023 and even moving into when the global incarnation cross moves into the cross of the sleeping phoenix in February 2027, a lot of the energy we're going to start to feel is this energy of releasing the need for external validation, for releasing approval or agreement from a committee or governance that says this is okay, you can do this, and really coming home to ourselves to trust that inner guidance, our own GPS, our own intuition that says this is what's right for me. And so when we understand our own strategy, our own authority, the way we're designed, the way energy moves, we get into a space where we recognize this new definition of selfishness. And so this definition that we've had in the past and the current energy that we've been in is all around this energy of selfishness as it relates to materialism, as it relates to more, as it relates to our status, our position, power over, again, not power with or power in. And we're moving into a new definition of selfishness that says when I choose to go inside, when I choose to find my way home, when I choose to align in a way that's meaningful for me, by doing what's right for me first, and I'm crunching some leaves. I love this time of year in Austin. When I do what's right for me, I then help the collective whole. And so by serving myself, by leaning into my strategy and authority, by coming home, by being aligned as fuck, by standing in a place of authenticity and integrity and really listening to that quiet whisper, that stillness while we are in fluid motion, when we listen to that, when we give ourselves the space and grace to breathe that in, to let that move, because we don't want to hold it. We want to actually allow it to move through us. When we allow ourselves to do that, by taking care of us first, we then inevitably take care of everyone else that we are here to serve. And so it is the epitome of put your oxygen mask on first. And so it's been interesting because like even today, I will just share, in addition to all of this going on, this energy for me has been a season that has been especially dense and revealing. There has been a lot moving and shifting, and I've known on some level it is all here to serve me at my higher level. And it has been tough. There have been days it has been a complete and utter shit show. There have been days where I feel like I've been taken out. Like I haven't really felt like I know where home is for me. And I think the other day I posted just getting on the trails again, just getting out and hiking, just getting out. Look at this nature. Oh, just getting out in this space that's my church and doing that without Payton and giving myself the opportunity to just feel it, not have it have to make anything, be anything, not have to change how I feel about it. It's not to, fast track my healing. In fact, it's taken me almost 7 weeks to get out on some of my trails. It's not any of that. It's to allow myself what I need, but being able to come back to the place that ultimately there's nothing like nature that feeds my soul. There's nothing aside from my relationship I had with Payton. There's nothing that feeds me on that soul level to that degree. And, Payton ultimately was an extension of nature. He was an extension of what I feel when I'm in church and home among the trees and the water. are my spirit guides. They speak to me, they guide me, they download information to me. And so even right now as I'm walking, things are just kind of channeling through that's on my heart, that's in my soul, that I feel it's time to share. Because for me right now, the new year is about to approach. And I think I've mentioned this a few times around the new year. And it's all about the shifts of the lunar energy, being the moon, and the way energy moves universally. I am far more connected to that rhythm, as honestly, if you really took a moment, I would gather most of us are. And again, it either speaks to you or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, that's great. You can stop listening and go about your day. If it does, I'm hoping something may resonate on a much deeper level, from a place of awareness, a place of curiosity, a place of just, I just kind of want to know where that rabbit hole might take me, right? And so, in addition to all of that, so there's been this incredible dense energy the end of last year, coming into this new year. And so I have felt a very persistent, very intense need to slow down, to honor that, to recognize that my reset did not hit. Not that I really need a reset, but my ability to step into the next level and new did not happen January 1. Really clear about that. And I think, I put out there, my word for this year is rogue. And I have had some people challenge me that, everybody's got their comments, their things. And I'm going to do another episode around this idea of spiritual shaming and snobbery and superiority that's starting to hit a little bit, that I think is a conversation we need to have. But I'll save that for another day. Today I want to talk about the need to honor what's moving through you. And so in addition to the just dense energy going on in the universe, the planets that were retrograde, the Capricorn season, the Cancer full moon, which was highly emotional, and being a Cancer myself, both Cancer sun and Cancer rising sun, very much an emotional creature. Many of you have seen me get emotional on these videos, and my emotional authority is how I make decisions. I don't live in a logical or linear space. I live based on what my emotions are telling me, and really understanding how to ride that wave so that I can get into a place of calm where I'm not doing the shiny squirrel or the holy fuck, what did I just do? It's more of a space of, ooh, yes, that yes feels so good to me in my feelings, my emotions, my passions, my ideas, my creativity, how I want to show up, what that looks like. And so trusting that has become everything for me. So I was also been dealing with Payton's death. His passing, November 30th, was when I had to say goodbye to my soulmate. Here we go. And it's been a journey. It's been an incredibly beautiful and an incredibly challenging, and it's been a deeply grounding and opening and expanding experience all at the same time. Today is Wednesday. It is 7 weeks that I said goodbye to my baby boy, and learning to navigate this life without my co-pilot, because when I think about how much he was in every aspect of my life. He was my family. He was my guide. He was my safety net. He was my home. And so to navigate this space, it's been challenging. It's been extremely difficult. I've had waves of grief that have knocked me out. And I've had these amazing moments of just delicious, beautiful, gorgeous, exquisite memories and emotions. And by giving myself the space to be in all of it, I get to honor him. I get to honor me. I get to honor our journey. And it's not done. It's very raw sometimes. Feels like sometimes it's past, and I'm in the way of being able to show up and activate more of what I'm here to do. It feels expansive, and it's raw. It's nothing like what I've experienced. I have gone through a lot of grief in my life. I mean, a lot of grief around, my dad and letting go of what I needed or wanted him to be and understanding that was never going to be an option. Grieving his actual passing and leaving this earth. Grieving my uncle, who was one of my closest relationships to me. Grieving other animals. My dog when I was younger. Several dogs when I was younger. Grieving my grandparents. Grieving friends who have died in way too early, way too soon, without explanation. I mean, there's been grief around me my whole life. It's been part of my journey, honestly. And Payton's been different. This journey navigating, and I think some of it is because I've allowed myself a space where I'm letting myself feel the grief. It's not me stuffing it down. It's not me punching it in the face. It's not me avoiding it. It's me just letting myself breathe into it. And I think we miss a lot of opportunity. It was interesting. My assistant posted a meme on my behalf because she was posting some things out for me on social media. And she posted a meme that I have to say, even when I read it, I was like, isn't it God? With so much opportunity to shift our narrative. But it said we're allowed to grieve as long as others find it socially acceptable. As long as until it's comfortable for everybody else, because there's this need to rush it. There's this need to go through it. So anyway, it's been a season of a lot of grief. It's been a season of a lot of transition. It's been a season of relearning or unlearning, but relearning how to come home to myself without the comfort, the security net, my soul companion in the process. And so to do that has opened up a lot. And then on top of it, I've done several leadership retreats. I traveled and spent the holidays with my family, which has been great, but always has energy to it, as most of us have things in our family that still are unhealed, still can be high dysfunction, still can pull us out. And so all of that, and then I have been in a space of needing to remove an embedded IUD I had, which is a whole loaded discussion in and of itself. And I have felt as if this IUD has had literal hooks in my energy, in my cells, in my DNA, and even in doing energy work, it became very clear that that is the case. That I actually was getting a hook into my being from this man-made, systematized way to control our natural rhythms, our body, my femininity, my ability to be in flow. Literally, I haven't had a period in over 10 years. Prior to that, I was on birth control for 10 years. It took a year and a half to re-regulate my system and get back into a natural flow as a result. And so this IUD, while it has my ownership is it was in my body longer than it should have been. And I didn't do the research I probably should have up front. Again, some of it wasn't available. But to find out that this is a common problem or issue that shows up is that this IUD in particular actually has traction rate of getting embedded, causing a lot of problems. So today, this morning, I finally, timing kept pushing things back. My doctor had her first baby and went out. I wanted to make sure she was the person. This is the third attempt of pulling it out of my body that I actually had to have a procedure because I could not, and I have a high pain tolerance. I could not bear the pain of removing this IUD the way it's supposed to be removed. And so for those of you that don't know, there's two strings and it has arms and they're supposed to bend, and it's supposed to, what they tell you, which is bullshit, it's supposed to just slide right out. Comes to find out that doesn't happen as often as you'd think. And so for me, it got caught in the lining of my uterine wall. And so I actually had a procedure where I went under today. I actually was on a very light general anesthesia. which that in and of itself, I had to bring myself to a place of peace to be okay with, to where the procedure went so well. And I think about the divinity of what's happening in that space. I have a friend visiting me right now, and we've been mapping sort of the synergies of things that are happening in her world and my world, and things that are in flow and what's connected. The fact that today Mercury went direct, the fact that we're moving into this new year of really expansive energy, the fact that Payton just passed. All of these things are pivotal transitions. This feels like the last step of clearing my energy in a way to allow it to be as expansive as possible. And so what was interesting is I didn't know what to expect today. Truthfully, I kind of felt one of two things might happen. One, I thought, this is going to take me out for a while. It's going to end up resisting, because every time we've tried in the past, my cervix has basically put up a boxing match, and I've gone into fight mode, which is a very consistent pattern for me when I have fear show up and I'm out of control. I have some lines that show up for me around my tendency to need to control the outcome, and as many of you know, I'm a recovering control freak. But the lack of control puts me into fight mode. I want to resist. I want to fight. And that is my first line of defense. And so my body, my cervix, does the same thing. And so it literally got into that fight, flight, freeze, and really into fight mode on the initial attempts. And I'm telling you this because, I mean, yes, it's extremely personal. But I'm telling you this because there's a lot of leverage. There's a lot of... what's the word I'm looking for? Contemplation. There's a lot of, I think, analogy and synergy to what's going on right now. And I think more of you will understand the commonality or the connection between this and other energy that's going on. And I see that what happened was a very much aligned with everything going on in my life. I mean, there's nothing that happens by accident, because even when I originally was going to do the surgery, again, my doctor was going out. She had her first baby, and she literally saw me her last day before going out on maternity leave, and literally saw me. I am one of her first patients coming back. So there's just, there's a birthing, there's a process in that, right? And so much. I could go on about this all day long, talk about going down a rabbit hole. I literally have so much that's moving through me right now as a result of this. And so today I didn't know how I was going to feel. I was like, man, this is going to take me out. I'm going to fight. I may have to have more of a surgery. You know, they even said today, have we talked about, we might have to go through your stomach to remove it. I'm like, woo, I'm just want you to knock me out to pull it out so I don't have the pain, right? Turns out it was the easiest thing possible. And so it came out beautifully. It came out in less time than they thought. My body responded so beautifully and exquisitely well. And what's fascinating is I have felt so awake, so alive, so deeply grateful. It's as if my body's celebrating that the foreign object, this toxic, foreign, controlling, like, energy and thing in my being, that I am free. I've been liberated in a way that my body truly can start to heal itself in a way that leads me into my next level. And so, you know, I'm going through perimenopause, menopause right now. I've had a lot of hormonal issues, which was one of the reasons I'm like, I've got to get this thing out of me. I was turning into a completely different person. And for any of you that have gone through menopause, you know, sometimes it just takes over. And we need a space to be able to understand it. And I feel like even last night sleeping, it was as if my hormones were like, we're going to get one more shot. My night sweats were out of control last night. My hot flashes. And what's interesting is since I've been released, and my recovery was like 15 minutes. I did what I had to do. They released me. You know, they give you all the protocol. Don't go walking. Don't do anything strenuous. I'm just leisurely walking, which is very rare for me. You know, be mindful if you go anywhere. Take someone with you. This is my second walk of the day, by the way. All these things, and I understand that. And my body wants something different. My body's like, I feel liberated. I want to breathe in new energy and new air. I want to allow this body to just move and celebrate that it's whole once again. Not that I was broken, there was just something blocking my wholeness. But I feel like it is the opening to come back truly back to myself. And so one of the reasons I'm sharing that is because, like I said, I think there's a divinity to everything as it happens in perfect timing. And when I think about, I'm about to step into what feels like next level. I'm about to step into what feels like a real new year, new 2023, how the energy is starting to guide us from this cross of planning to cross of sleeping phoenix. And we're going from this very, we collective governance controlling energy into one that is more expansive, feminine. By taking care of and coming home to myself, therefore I can lead and take care of others even more and contribute from a place of my own authenticity and being aligned as fuck on every level. It's not by accident. And so what a pivotal, I will tell you, I haven't felt energy like this, well, for sure since before Payton passed. But I haven't felt this clean, this clear, this open. I feel like an expansive channel that's just wide open right now. Like, if you ever had those shifts, it's kind of in the space right now. And like I said, I'm just kind of walking with you, talking through it as it's showing up. So this is inside what goes on in my brain sometimes, or I'm more in my body or my soul. This is just me down a tangent, talking through whatever wants to channel and be seen. And so if it doesn't make sense, welcome to my world. If it does, welcome to my world. And I say that because I feel like looking back yesterday, I almost don't even recognize who I was yesterday in the light of how I feel today. And what was interesting is I tend to have really low blood pressure. My average blood pressure is like 90 something over 50 something, always has been. However, I've had a couple surgeries in my time, 3 knee surgeries, Achilles surgery, breast reduction, you name it. This is my 6th surgery. My stress, cortisol, anxiety usually goes up to where I'm usually sitting at like 110 over, 60 or 70. What was beautiful about this, and my assistant and I were talking about this yesterday, was I never felt that energy around this procedure. It felt like it absolutely was the thing that had to happen. And to the point where I slept, aside from my night sweats, I wasn't up worrying about anything. I completely surrendered to, if this is the only way I can get this removed, then this is the thing that I need to do to free myself. Again, there's that liberation. Free myself so that I can step into my next space. And what's so gorgeous about it is when they measured my blood pressure every time this morning, pre-surgery, right before surgery, after surgery, my blood pressure was still 90 something over 50 something. That has never happened for me. And what I recognized was, wow, this is what surrender feels like. This is what coming home to yourself and trusting that you have everything you need. Trusting, I'd even had a thought, I'm like, hey, if something does go wrong, then I guess I just meet Payton at the Rainbow Bridge sooner. Like, there was no fear in this at all. And for me, that was huge. For me, that was everything. And so just this peace, and even being out here right now, I feel I've hiked so much this week prior to the procedure. I've gotten 50,000 steps in 3 days. I did, 130 some flights of stairs combined. I forget, I think it's been like 20 miles. My body should be hurting right now, logically. And it was last night a little bit. My body feels great. My energy feels great. Everything feels so peaceful, so dialed in, so fluid, and still. There's a stillness right now in the movement. there's a stillness right now in this walk, literally and figuratively, of what I'm taking. And so I don't know what you're going to take from that. I don't know why I needed to share that with you. I just knew I did. Like I said, if it doesn't make sense, welcome to my world. If it does make sense, welcome to my world. And so thank you for taking a walk with me today. I'm still just going to kind of wander around a little and let whatever needs to come through present, or just maybe let my trees talk to me. But I really appreciate you being on this walk with me. I think I might need to take you a few more times before I get fully comfortable taking some of these walks on my own. So anyway, with that, I love you always. I love you so much. And I just thank you for being here.